Let's take a look at some troubleshooting tips. So before I begin this, I've been working in Wi-Fi for around 12 years, and out of that, I spent 6 years explicitly in the troubleshooting profile, where I was the escalation engineers in TAC for Cisco and Aruba, and and then I spent some years in the consulting role in Cisco, and then I've been a pre-sales engineer for almost 3.5 years now in Juniper. Even till date, I use these tips that I'm going to tell you because there are times when I have to go on call and troubleshoot networks, and basically a lot of times I have to go on a call and streamline a lot of things because things are not in moving in the right direction because a lot of people don't know these tricks that I'm going to tell you. So keep these in mind, and this is going to help you save some precious time and money and effort on the ground, right? So let's begin with one. Always check the AP position. Okay, a lot of time AP and antenna, if there are some outdoor or external antennas connected, check the antenna positions also. Sometimes I can all of a sudden you see that clients are not able to connect properly, they are having slowness, they are not able to get the right output from the AP. In scenarios where networks were deployed long back, it is possible that those APs were mounted and never looked at after that, and then something probably changed the position of the AP, or the antennas got moved, or the antennas just got removed from there. It fell from the AP because this is very common in old networks, right? So recently when I changed the Wi-Fi network of a warehouse, I'm not going to give you the customer name, but yeah, one of the customers where I was working with, and I removed the APs. I was checking the AP to mount our APs. Then I figured out that in a lot of places the APs were not even there. They thought the APs were there, but the APs were not there. In some places the APs were in an opposite direction. The LEDs were not facing downwards, LED was upwards, and then that's pretty much why the clients were not able to connect properly in that area. So check for the AP position. It just takes a minute. Go walk up to the area, look to the ceiling and check if the APs are fine or not. And this is going to again save you a lot of time and effort in troubleshooting, right? In client connectivity issues, which is very common, as I said, check for the client drivers. It may not be the issue, but if updating your driver helps, this is going to just take very take a minute to go and check, and trust me, when you troubleshoot connectivity issues, you can spend hours and days on that, but if you can have a fix with this, why not? It's worth a shot. So look at this with absolute certainty. Do not let this go. There are times when I've seen the client drivers updation of a client usually works. So this is most common in scenario where one type of client is having a problem. If you have if a corporate has multiple types of laptops and only one type of laptops are not working, then this could be a problem. So you do this, and you might be able to save a lot of time for yourself. One more thing, if always check for a stable code, software code. Always check for the stable software code of the access point. Okay, now imagine spending hours and hours of troubleshooting on a specific issue only to find out that this code had a bug. That's really going to annoy you, and because it has happened with me, and I've made this mistake in the past, and I don't want you to do this. So always when you run a network, if let's say you're a network admin or you're a troubleshooting engineer, you should always know what code you're running, if it's a stable code or not, and you should always know what kind of bugs were initially seen or seen before you deployed this code on this particular code. Have a list ready, and just cross check. If you see this certain issue that you're running, if you see something similar in the list, why not check for it as well? Okay, so this is very handy to have. Trust me, it's very handy to have a list of bugs that you may have hit, but that you may hit in that particular code. So keep that ready with you, and it's gonna again every time you hit an issue, bring up an Excel sheet and just check if the issue that you're hitting is already in that list or not. Sometimes clients don't see the SSID, right? Clients not seeing the SSID. I remember I made a fool of myself in one of the customer scenario where the user on the ground, I was in the consulting role and I went and was trying to see why the user is not able to see the SSID. and there was no other user available at that time, and we were not allowed to take our phones anyway, so I could not take out my phone to check the SSID. The SSID was hidden. Okay, so you got to check the hidden SSID check. I mean, I didn't expect this because having a hidden SSID is not the best practice. So do not have it. If you see a network where the SSID is hidden, do not have it hidden. Again, the reason is I've explained that in my fundamental course, but don't have it. But it's always good to have a check and ask the customer if the SSID is hidden or not. Second could be, this is number one. Second could be there is not enough RF coverage. RF coverage is not enough. You're not near any AP. Okay, and if you are near an AP and maybe the AP is not functioning well, maybe the radio is down or whatever. I mean, you're not able to check for that. You just maybe out of the VSS, you're just not able to see the coverage because at SSID because you're not in that range anyway. Third is, let's say I have a client which only supports 2.4, and even on 2.4 and 5, let's say it supports 2.4 for now, and which means it supports data rates of 1 to 5.5 and 11, right, Mbps. And when I have a .11g network deployed, 802.11g network deployed or a network deployed, I have the data rates enabled as 1 to 5.5, 11, in fact 6, 9, 11, 12, 18, 24, 36, 48 and 54. Now in my SSID setting or my radio setting, I disabled these data rates. The client that only understands this data rate will not be able to see the SSID, because when an AP broadcasts the SSID, it sends the beacon out on the lowest mandatory data rate. Always remember this. Lowest mandatory data rate is for the beacon. Now if the client sometimes the client is not able to see the SSID because the data rates on which it should see the SSID, they are disabled. So make sure this is not the case. Okay, so just check for data rates as well, so that you don't make this mistake and spend too much time on this. This has happened with many engineers. That's why I'm giving you a heads up. Now the next tip would be, if you are troubleshooting a client issue, let's say you are trying to troubleshoot a mobile phone issue, somebody is not able to connect properly or see the SSID on a mobile phone, or the network is very weak. Okay, always carry in your mobile a network utility app or a Wi-Fi utility app. Okay, something like Insider is an application. There are like many applications where you can quickly take out your phone, open the application and see the signal strength on top from the AP on top of you. That's very handy because you may not have access to laptop every time. Always carry this with you. Always carry, one second. Always carry one with you in your mobile. It's very handy, more handy than you think. Sometimes when you're troubleshooting an issue with the mobile phone and you have a laptop with you trying to understand the signal from the AP, it's not going to give you an accurate picture because the issue is with the mobile phone and you're checking the signal strength from a laptop. The laptop's receptive antenna is much more strong than a mobile phone's receptive antenna, so you may not see the accurate picture there. So always have a mobile phone also with the utility app, so that you're able to see the right picture and understand what's really going on the ground, right? The sixth tip would be, sometimes in a network we understand that yes, 5 gigahertz is definitely better than 2.4. Not in all scenarios, but yes, there are. So if a dual band SSID is deployed, okay, most of the corporate networks laptops now do support 5 as well, but there could be some old scanners or some old devices that only support 2.4 and the customers cannot get rid of them. What you want is, for most of the clients should be connected on 5 gigahertz. That is what we want as a network admin. I would want most of my clients which can connect on 5 should connect on 5, right? So what I can do is, as a tip, if this is what you want, enable band steering. Some vendors call it band steering, some vendors call it band select. Now depending on the vendor, what this does is, when a client tries to initiate an association with an access point radio, during the initial association, if a client sends a request on 2.4, the AP will ignore it. Okay, the AP will say, okay, you know what, you do support 5 as well, so I'm going to ignore your request coming on 2.4. Then the client will send the 2.4 request once again, the AP will ignore it once again. Okay, this is during initial association. Now the next time the client thinks, oh my god, I do want to associate, so let me send it on 5. If I send it on 5, the AP says, wow, good, accept it, you are in. Okay, there are some adamant clients that will continue to send association requests on 2.4. The AP has to eventually grant them access on 2.4 only. That's why this is not 100%, this is not 100% working all the time. This is not going to be a very 100% solution, but it is at least used to give a nudge to the users, to the users to try to connect on 5. Okay, this is not going to be foolproof, it won't happen all the time, but at least it gives a nudge to the users to go and connect on 5. And I've seen networks performance improve very much with this. All the clients which support 2.4 and 5 both, I have seen them move to 5 gigahertz and make life easy on the ground. Now another big misconception and something that you should keep in mind, and this tip is really going to help you out whenever you're going to troubleshoot a Wi-Fi speed issue. I have seen all the networks troubleshoot this Wi-Fi speed issue, and a lot of them do it the wrong way. We do some speed test at the back end, and when the speed doesn't come, we hope it, and we think it's a Wi-Fi problem. No, the only way you can figure out it's a Wi-Fi speed issue is by doing an iPerf test. Okay, learn how to do that. There's a YouTube video on iPerf test. Learn how to do an iPerf test. Every Wi-Fi guy needs to know this, how to do an iPerf test. Okay, this is the true measure of a Wi-Fi speed. There are customers that open up the browser and type speedtest.net and then do a speed test. That's not going to give you a Wi-Fi speed. That's the wrong measure of Wi-Fi. It's giving you the backend speed, not the Wi-Fi speed. Okay, so what you need to do in iPerf is make the client as a Wi-Fi client. The server also should be Wi-Fi. Basically take two laptops connected to the access point, make one as client, make the other one as server, run the iPerf utility on both of them, and start sending TCP or UDP packets from client to the server or server to the client, and then check the speeds coming. That is the true measure. If the speed is a problem there, or if the throughput is a problem there, then yes, RF could be the problem. There could be some congestion in the RF could be overutilized, there could be some channel on which the AP is working could be overutilized. You might want to look at that. But if the throughput comes fine as expected on that, and in the overall network on the ground and the client tries to connect is a problem, then the issue is not with the Wi-Fi. You need to isolate this. This is a huge tip that will work for you when troubleshooting a speed issue. Do the iPerf test. If it comes out fine, Wi-Fi is clean. Okay, make sure these are both Wi-Fi though, client and server. If the issue comes out, if there's no issue in the Wi-Fi iPerf test, there is no issue in the Wi-Fi. Still on the ground, if there's an issue could be on the wired side. Check for the bottleneck somewhere in the network. Okay, it's not the Wi-Fi at all. The other tip that you should know is always good to have another tool in mind, that is the NMS tool. Okay, and why I'm saying this is because in an uncontrolled Wi-Fi environment, like let's say a stadium or an airport, where you cannot put restrictions on people on what to use, where you cannot put restrictions on people on to bring interferers or interfering devices or You know, they can bring whatever they want in stadiums when you're doing during a game. I've been in live games, and I've seen the Wi-Fi networks of stadiums, of airports. So I can tell you that Wi-Fi is very uncontrolled in stadiums and airports, and of course, maybe could be something like other scenarios also. But I'll take these two examples for now. Stadiums and airports are very uncontrolled. It's always good to have, if you're seeing high interference, if you're seeing which you should see and which you can see, it's always good to open up the NMS and check for the interferers and check for the duty cycle of those interferers. High duty cycle means it is bad for network. The performance will go down. Sometimes when you see slowness, you assume it's because of the interferers around me, it's because of the Wi-Fi interference happening, RF interference happening. But when you open the NMS and see, or you do a spectrum analysis and see, the duty cycle is very low, which means they're not impacting as much as we think they are. There could be something else that might be causing an issue. So before you think it's the RF interferers around you, you might want to go and check the duty cycle. And for that, there are different NMS tools that come for different vendors. There are other open standard tools also that you can use. So that I'm going to leave it to you. But it's always good to have this picture as well, and all these things combined. If you execute these things in your troubleshooting, you're going to definitely save a lot of time. And as I said in the last video, these 8 points are not all. I'm happy to discuss more points with you. If you want, you can ping me on LinkedIn. We can definitely stay in touch. I can guide you more during a specific troubleshooting incident also. Reach out to me and I'll be more than happy to help you. But for now, in this video, I wanted to cover these 8 and give you an idea as to what, if you keep this handy, then you're going to save a lot of time and effort and sometimes money of the customers also, right? Good. So this is it for this video. Thank you very much.